Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Wonderful.
Morning, Lori. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. How about yourself?
Doing great, thank you. Howdy, gang. I hope everybody's doing well this morning. It's good to see you. It's kind of nice to see like a real human. First of all, Lori, let me make a couple opening comments, and then I'm going to turn it over to you for a few comments. And then I'll talk a little bit about the administrative portion of this and how we can maybe get all your questions and answered, etc. But let me start by saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you guys are dealing with this. I'm sorry that this is the way we're finishing up the semester. I'm sorry that you can't come in and go to class and visit face-to-face with your instructors and with each other's in groups and do the things you want to do. I'm just sorry all this is happening. You know, one of the things that we're kind of in the stage here now where after thinking about this for a couple of weeks and figuring out what it means to us, this is kind of part of the adventure of life, I think. You know, you assess the new situation, you refocus, you kind of gather the team up, and you just keep moving on. You're going to do this 100, 1,000 more times in your futures, and you'll be the one trying to lead the charge and keep moving, but it's all about moving forward. So that's what we're trying to get done this week to make sure that you guys get the best possible education we can over the next couple of months until this resolves itself and we get back to some sense of normalcy. But there's a lot of impact on you, so I'm sorry about that. Lori and I are here for about the next hour or so to answer your questions, to make sure we hear what you're concerned about, and then to get any ideas you have or suggestions on how we best move forward or things we can do to help you out. That's really why we're having the conversation. A couple of things to remind you of, if you haven't had a chance to look at them yet, the Bush School COVID-19 webpage is up and running. If you click on that yellow banner when you go to the Bush School webpage, you'll get to it. We're going to keep it current with all the latest guidance from the college and also from the provost office at the university level. Anything she's put out for faculty or for students will be on there. And then links to a bunch of additional resources, whether it's technical stuff or whatever that you might need, is on there. And we'll probably add to it as we go. Yesterday, we realized we didn't have anything referencing, current library status, for example. And so there were a bunch of questions that came out of the session we had yesterday with some of the international affairs students about, how do you return books? How do you do that kind of stuff? And so that was the reason for the email to you last night, but those kind of things will also show up on the webpage. So go there if you need answers, and if it's not there, let us know and we'll get them for you. Texas A&M also has a pretty good coronavirus page off of the TAMU webpage if you haven't seen it. And the best part of it in my mind is actually it's got the university guidance. It covers state guidance as well. But it also has a bunch of frequently asked questions on everything from what does self-isolating mean really, to how do you report if you're feeling sick, if you think you might be affected or you know somebody who is, that you've been around. All those kind of things are there, along with all the latest travel guidance and that stuff. So don't forget those two resources are there for you. A couple of things I'd ask you to please acknowledge and try to comply with. Social distancing is such a, it's not a new concept, but we're sure seeing it a lot more than I ever heard it in my life. But think about what that means to you and try and adjust your behavior so that you honor it. I think one of the things that everybody's been confused about is why are we doing all this? I'll let Lori comment on this as well, but I'll tell you one of the best articles I saw about this and why it's important. It described the breakout in Italy of victims of the virus. And the way they described it in that article, and the data I'm sure has changed by now, but at the time, 80% of the victims in Italy, people who had the virus, had minor symptoms, nothing major, didn't require major medical care. About 5% at that time, according to the data they had, were dying. And that was typically the at-risk categories. And then there was the 15% that just needed serious medical care of some type. The problem in Italy was that 15% all got sick at the same time. And it overloaded the public health system to the point where instead of 5% dying, the number was growing and eating up some of that 15%. And if you add 15% to the 5%, now you've got a really big number. And imagine what that would be here in the US, for example. And so the idea is just spread out the infection rate and delay it for some people to flatten that growth curve so that the public health system can keep up with it. And that's kind of all of our jobs, to help with that, even if we're not really personally at risk or don't think we're in a high risk area. It's just to help slow it down. I have a son who's an ER doctor. They don't have gowns. They don't have enough masks. They don't have enough protective equipment for the techs and the docs. So they're really liking the idea of slowing down the infection rate so they can handle the patient flow. And so it's a real issue. It's a serious problem. And thanks for doing your part to see if we can help as we can. Okay, the Allen building, by the way, I had a question yesterday. Can you come into the building? Sure you can. If you've got something in the building you need to pick up, something in the mailbox, come get it. But come into the building and leave. Reason number one, the building is ripped apart. We turned it over to the contractors last week, and in 3 days, the middle of the second floor, for example, there are no walls anymore. They're tearing it up. And so the demo phase is well underway. They'll start part of the first floor next week. So that work is underway, and it's loud now. One of the unintended, not negative consequences is we can give them some space faster to work on because the offices are mostly empty right now. But you won't get a lot of quiet time in the building to work anyway. But the problem we have is decontaminating space. If people come in and pick something up in the mailroom and leave, we're okay. If you come in, you sit down, you have lunch with two friends at the table in there. When you leave, we have to decontaminate the table. All the surfaces got to be cleaned again, just in case. Those are the protocols the university is following. That's why you're seeing more and more closures of libraries, annexes, etc. So there's space available on campus if you need it. That guidance is out on our webpage and on the A&M webpage. And if you have questions, just call us and we'll get you the right information. So come in if you need something, but otherwise, that's why we're trying to keep people away. By the way, you'll notice that Lori and I are sitting in our offices. You won't see this most days. We're here to do this, and I'm here for two other things after this morning, then I'm gone. So everybody is working from home wherever we can. We're coming in only for the things that have to be done in the building, to monitor the construction or to do something for IT support, etc. Everything else is being done remotely. So it's affecting all of our staff as well. And most of our staff has not been in at all since you guys left for spring break. Okay, let me stop there and tell you that when Lori's done, we'll start asking questions, but here's the way we'll do it. Lori, I'll ask everybody who's on here who has a question to send me a chat. Just send me a private chat so that everybody's not reading all the chats instead of listening to what Lori's saying. And then as the questions come in, Lori, most of them will probably be for you. After you finish an answer, I'll read the next question. If it's something I think is more appropriate for me, I'll moderate and answer it quickly, then give you a chance to weigh in. I noticed Holly Kasperbauer's on. I think I saw Kimberly on here as well. They may be better suited to answer a particular question, and so we'll bring them into the conversation as necessary. Okay, sound fair to everybody? Okay, Lori, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate the chance to get in touch with you and to reduce our feeling of isolation a tad. I'm very thankful that y'all are performing the public service of helping us keep our social distance, helping us to be able to address what could become a critical public health issue if things get out of control. And I think the real issue, as Dean Welsh was saying, is about trying to spread out the timing at which people get sick so as not to overwhelm our healthcare system. It is set up for kind of regular frequency of illness and disease and for certain kinds of surge activities, but it's not set up to be able to take in 10 to 15% of the population at one time. And so everything is really just about trying to affect the timing. Unfortunately, in order to be able to affect the timing, we have to disrupt our lives for an extended period of time. And for that, we are all apologizing. I have been in touch with all of your faculty, and they are in the process of modifying syllabi where needed, learning how to get online with Zoom where needed, generally being up and ready to support you and to carry on Monday. The idea is that we will be moving from synchronous face-to-face instruction to synchronous online instruction. Faculty members will be meeting with you in your classes as regularly scheduled. Some of us have modified our syllabi substantially. Some of us, like myself, haven't had to do much to change the syllabus. It was already compatible with this particular delivery mode, but you should be hearing from all of your faculty by close of business today with what's your new syllabus look like, how we're going to handle things next week. If you aren't hearing, I need to know, because I can definitely get after them. But the intent is to try to minimize the impact on your educational experience. We know there are some things we can't avoid influencing, but what we want to do is ensure that you have a high quality educational experience where you're able to gain the information and knowledge that you need to be able to make a difference after you leave the Bush School, and to keep you safe and to keep the community safe as we're going about doing that. A number of our faculty are in risk groups, and so it is particularly important that they maintain their distance. I have advised them, and they are all amenable to meeting with you electronically through Zoom. They can do Zoom group meetings for office hours. They can meet with you individually, but they are not to come and meet with you face to face. It's for mutual protection, but as much theirs as it is yours. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Ms. Reeves and Ms. Bustos are both working from home, but they are on the clock, regular time. If you have any issue or concern, I want you to reach out to them by telephone, by email, by text, and let them know what's going on so that we can address it as quickly as possible. The normal academic processes of the university are going to move forward. We are going to end the semester as scheduled at the end of April. There will be exams, but it's unlikely that we will be able to do a lot of monitored face-to-face exams. We'll be relying on your respect for the Aggie Honor Code, and the faculty will be designing a lot of take-home type of examination structures wherever possible, or they could wind up monitoring an exam here in a Zoom chat room where you open up Zoom and then you put your head down over your notebook and you do your thing. So there are a lot of things we're still learning about how best to deliver it. So we're very grateful to the Office of Extended Education, who have been working overtime over the last couple of weeks to get us all up to speed to take all of our in-residence courses into the cloud. And that's something that is new for us. And we know it's not the same, but we want it to be a high quality academic experience for each and every one of you. If you feel like it's not a high quality academic experience, I need to know about it as quickly as possible. Because that is our goal and intention. And if somebody needs some support so that they can provide you with that experience, then I need to help them and provide them with that support. So that said, I think I just want to open things up to questions from y'all. If there's anything you want to think about, talk about, any of the above, would you please chat with the dean and let him know. And
hey, Lori, first question.
All right, shoot.
And I'll answer, and then you can take a shot, okay? Is there a possibility that the Bush School would consider delaying our Bush School graduation ceremony to later in the summer? This is the first time I've heard this question. We typically don't have many Bush School students, except one staying in the local area, who would like to delay graduation. The actual A&M graduation ceremony is postponed probably till the August ceremonies. And so anybody who's still in the area can still walk in August at Reed Arena. And we'll support that, of course. I don't think it'll be a large number who want to do that, but if we get a larger number than expected, we can look at hosting something here at the Bush School for family and friends, et cetera, before that Reed Arena ceremony. But it won't be the same large-scale celebration we usually do the morning of graduation. That makes sense to everybody? Yeah, well, if there is a bigger number than I think it'll be a handful maybe who would be interested. You know, we can talk about doing something different than that, but we'll of course host you, your family, etc. We'll do something. If you're here and you're going to walk at Reed, we'll know that in the department, so I'll make sure that I know how many people are doing that. But usually our students are who are looking for jobs or internships and want to get out there and get going, so they don't hang around.
Yeah, I think
Lori?
I would follow that up with when the university lets us know what will be possible for you to celebrate your graduation at the university level, we will do something synchronized with that. I don't know how big a something it will be. It kind of will depend on how many of y'all are engaged. But we will recognize we will celebrate your graduation as best we can when in sync with what the university is doing. We definitely won't be doing anything at a different date than the celebrations that the university is putting forward. My guess at this point is that they will try to do something with the regularly scheduled August graduation, in which case we will probably do something at that time as well. This is not going to delay your graduation. Your diploma is going to say May, and it is going to be conferred to you and a snail mailed to you in a ceremonial envelope of some sort, but it's not going to be in any way that your graduation is delayed. Your graduation, if you are scheduled to graduate in May, you will and you complete your coursework, you will graduate in May, okay? But we may celebrate that with a delay because of the desire to be able to do so face to face and to hug and to fist bump and to shake your hands and get our photos and all that cool stuff. So we will do what we can. We know it's so important to you. It's so important to us.
Yeah, Lori wanted to put some of that glittery confetti in the envelopes.
I did not.
But Kimberly talked her out of it. Thank you.
Oh no, that's completely backwards. If there's glittery, especially pink confetti, you know it's Kimberly.
Lori, talk about internships. We have students who are kind of waiting on answers from people they've requested internships from, other people who have them lined up, but it requires travel to go do it. Why don't you talk a little bit about how we handle internships?
Sure. Okay. The first thing is that although we have an internship requirement for graduation, we are not going to allow that get in the way of anybody's graduation. Okay. So these are unusual circumstances, and we recognize that, and we will be able to waive the requirement on a case-by-case basis if that's what we need to do. I still think that the internship is a particularly valuable experience for y'all, and it'd be valuable even if it has to be a virtual form of internship. So I encourage you to continue to keep your ears open, keep your feelers out, and try to arrange for an internship, but I totally recognize that some of the organizations that you would like to intern with are not currently taking interns, or otherwise existing relationships are falling through and all that stuff. And I'm sorry, it's not going to be allowed to delay your graduation. Okay? We want you to have those experiences. We will support you in having those experiences. If it turns out being a virtual experience, that's okay, that's fine. If it's something where we can, after this clears, help you arrange some sort of abbreviated internship in the fall or the winter, and it's something you want to do, that's something we'll figure out how to make that happen, because that's a professional experience you want to have. We will figure out how to make that happen. But we are not going to let the internship requirement delay or defer anybody's graduation. That said, if you've got an internship lined up and you want to go do it, more power to you. If this is something that is good for you, that's why it's part of our curriculum. So we want to support you with your internship if at all possible. Does anybody have any follow-up questions on that?
Let me add something before we see if anybody does, Lori. There's
Okay.
a couple of things that came up already. One was, can we as a college ask some of the agencies or employers if they would just reserve spaces in the fall, the spring, or maybe even next summer for internships if you can't do them this year? The answer to that is probably no, because everybody's in the same boat. And so all the people who have who had internships from other universities and colleges around the country and around the world are also in the same situation. So they are asking the same question, can you extend ours? And so the agencies are not going to be able to do that. I know government agencies won't do that. What they may do is in the summer is say, instead of showing up in May, come in June. Let's just delay, come in the middle of June. And if you can get 6 weeks instead of 2 months, that's okay. Or whatever you can get is a good thing. I would encourage you to talk to Marilyn, to Michael, to your advisor, to Dr. Taylor, to anybody who can help you think through this internship thing. If you have a conflict with where you plan to intern this summer and what they are telling you as far as being able to host you. And think about travel to get there as well. So just have a conversation with us, okay? Don't make a really fast decision on this. And as Lori said, everybody is supporting, helping you find something if what you have falls through. And if you simply can't find it after making a good faith effort, well, we'll figure out the next step. But I think you heard your department head make it pretty clear that this is not going to stop you from moving forward. Okay, any other internship questions? Just come up voice if you have an internship question. Okay.
One
Oh.
about, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Claire.
Go, Claire.
I have one, just a few of the internships that I applied for, I know have already been canceled and we talked about that, but if there is a less rigorous position or a less targeted position for what I'm actually hoping to do, would I still be able to take that? At this point, is it if you can find an internship, just take it? Or are we still hoping that the internship would be more targeted for what we hope to do with our career?
It's still my hope that you not accept an internship where you make coffee and copies for somebody. I want this to be a substantive learning experience for you. But if there's something you want to do and you're just concerned that it's not as rigorous, but it's something you do want to do, go ahead and accept.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else on internships? I'm going to pause for 3 seconds. Okay, great. Registration's the next question. Let's see, have we heard any word from the registrar's office of what registration is going to look like for 2021 as a student worker? I get to register a little early. I think it's April 1st. But Lori, you want to talk about registration?
To the best of my knowledge, registration, which is an online process, goes forward as scheduled. I haven't heard anything about registration for fall that will be in any way delayed. Now, everything changes for us basically daily. And so the university may reach the point where they give us feedback on that, but it's not my expectation. My expectation is that you will register as scheduled. Ms. Reeves, Ms. Bustos, and the rest of us here are ready to advise you. Okay, if you would like some advising about your courses to take for next academic year, I strongly encourage you to email your advisor or email me or email Ms. Reeves and just let us know that you would like to make an appointment. And we are becoming actually quite good at this whole making appointments on Zoom sort of thing. And until we break the internet, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, there is a rumor floating around that registration has been delayed. Don't believe it. It's not true. It could happen, but we'll tell you if that happens. It has not changed. The original deadlines are still the same, and everything is being done online. That's the biggest difference, is there is no face-to-face or walk-in registration.
So I am going to be able to rest my wrist and not have to sign a whole bunch of paper copies of stuff. But that's the only thing that I'm aware of. Just go ahead and do your thing.
Lori, this next question has to do with course evaluations. Course evaluations won't be used to assess faculty performance like they're normally used, but what about performance from the first half of the semester prior to the coronavirus?
We want your feedback on how the semester went, and we want you to provide that feedback. And so we will be, the regular PICA setup will be collecting information. If you have some feedback that you really want to make a distinction between the first part of the semester and the second part of the semester, would you please put it in the comments? We read every bit of that text response that you provide to us. If you want to say, you know, the class was going great until we went online, and then I need to know that. If you think the class wasn't going so well at the beginning, and this has nothing to do with COVID, and it should be something that I take into consideration, I need to know that. If you would rather provide feedback in multiple modes, then provide it through the PICA and provide it directly to me in the form of an email, a note of some sort, or then do that. I completely want to gather your feedback about the coursework. I mean, hopefully we won't, under my tenure in department head, we won't be doing another one of these things. So this is not like a routine Bush School experience of having to switch modes midstream. But I do, and so what we didn't want was to have the student evaluations negatively affect the faculty because of technological difficulties, or the fact that we know that learning to teach in a new environment has a really steep learning curve. There are some things that translate well and some things that translate poorly. And we didn't want the modality to become the focus of feedback, and in that way influence teaching evaluations. Quite frankly, that decision that teaching evaluations wouldn't count for this semester is largely an undergrad-oriented phenomenon, having to do with those really big classes where the change in modality is really going to be rough. Because of our size, because of the professionalism of our students and the dedication of our faculty, we are actually probably the college or the university that is handling these COVID-19 things as best. And we have to recognize that they're having many more difficulties on main campus than we are experiencing. My kid's in engineering. They're trying to figure out how he's going to do labs without ever actually having any human contact with his lab partner or anyone else. So their challenges are much worse than ours. Some of this university guidance is blanket for the university as a whole, and that was one of that. But we're going to be consistent and respectful of the university's goals, but we want your feedback. Just in my evaluation process, I'm going to have to parse what is COVID and what is not. So any information you can give me to help me make that distinction, please do so. If you want to give positive feedback or negative feedback, I will be grateful for the feedback and use it to help with the professional development of our faculty and to strengthen our program. And so as a public service, give us the feedback, but faculty salaries this year will not depend on that feedback.
This is another question that actually extends the internship discussion into language immersion, and won't apply to most of you, but let me just answer this one, Lori, quickly.
Sure.
This came up a bunch yesterday in the International Affairs discussion, obviously. Language immersion programs are faced with the same issues that, of course, that internships are, aggravated a little bit by the fact that many of them are overseas immersive programs. And on the international affairs side, you have to pass the language test before you can graduate. We are not planning to change that requirement. So for students who have language immersions that are affected this summer, overseas language immersions in particular, the department is ready to help you find a domestic program, which might not be the same experience, but would also help develop your language skills. And we'll look at other things, whether it's during the fall or spring next year, even in the summer after classes end in your second year, to get you into a language immersion program that you need to get over the language hurdle. So Dr. Goss and the team in International Affairs are really available to help you. And for any of you who are involved in language training, which some of you, there have been a couple, same thing applies. We'll help you get through language immersions, just like we'll help you get through internships to the maximum of our ability, okay? Lori, does the A&M University, did A&M University discuss the options to move to a pass-fail grading system?
The provost raised that issue with the faculty senate, and so the faculty senate is currently evaluating a move to a pass-fail grading system. I do not know whether or not they're going to go forward with that. I suspect they're going to wait to see how disruptive this move to distance instruction for everything is going to be for students before they make that decision. I think it's much more likely that they will pick up something that they have discussed, which is to allow undergrads to Q drop up till the last day of class so that they can shelter their GPA in that way. Because we're at the graduate level, we have a much more liberal incomplete policy to help students get through if there is something about this disruption or your own health that makes it so that you can't complete the coursework for the semester. We can grant incompletes so that you do finish the coursework. It is, in my opinion, to switch a course from graded to pass-fail at this stage is to change the incentives in a way that is not always in the student's best interest. The number of students I'm aware of who were planning on improving their position over the course of the semester, and that's going to be problematic. If the university says we go to pass-fail, we'll go to pass-fail, but we're not going to do it voluntarily.
Be aware that the university may also say that undergraduate courses go to pass-fail, and graduate courses will be determined by the college or stay on the current grading system. We don't really know what's going to happen with this, but the discussion is ongoing. And I suspect, and Lori, you can comment if you'd like, that we're going to hear something about this in the next week. This won't be delayed. So you should hear something pretty quickly on this, and we'll tell you either way.
Yeah, I think it will be that. I don't think they will make a decision on this until they see how it goes this first week of online instruction, because this would be substantial. I mean, particularly think about undergrads who want to get into a grad school and they don't get their spring semester grades could have been important for them. The pass-fail option is not attractive if you're expecting an A. And so I think that they're going to want to see how disruptive it is before they pull the trigger on this. But I think the dean's right; they're going to make a decision end of next week, or perhaps even sooner, as to whether or not they want to do this. It will, if we go to pass-fail, will need to be syllabus guidance back out to everybody again about whether the course is now gone to pass-fail. We're not even sure we have the administrative option at the graduate level of going to pass-fail without some sort of university action to make that a possible grade for our courses. We would not want to go to pass-fail in a sense of everybody gets a B or a F. That doesn't make sense at all to us. But we will keep you completely posted. If you offline want to email me with a concern where you think pass-fail is a better option for us, I'd like to be able to have those discussion points when I meet with our faculty. We have a faculty meeting for PSAA end of next week, and we're going to be discussing all of the issues that come to the fore over the last couple weeks and this coming week. And this is something that the faculty would value your feedback on. So if you've got something, shoot me an email.
Okay, thanks, Lori. Next question has to be, what is the protocol if we get sick? And will the professors work with us if we're delayed and unable to finish our work during the spring semester? On the first half, yeah, Lori, why don't you go ahead and take this and I'll fill in anything if I need to.
Okay, the protocol if you get sick is you stay home. And you follow your doctor's care and you do what you can and you let us know. If you get sick, you need to let us know. All of our faculty are positioned now to make accommodations for your health. Your health has to come first. And if you get sick, we will administratively put it into incomplete, so you can finish out the work over the summer after you've recovered. We definitely don't want you coming into the building or into contact with your teammates or getting together with your capstone group if you're not feeling up to it. Just think negative externalities, everybody, and try to minimize them. Okay. We will apply enormous latitude and discretion by the faculty on those deadlines if you get sick.
On the one of the things we're going to add to our Bush School COVID webpage today is something very specific that you can click on that says, "Hey, if I'm sick, what do I do?" It's in all the guidance, but you got to pick it out a little bit. So some of you have healthcare providers here, as Lori said. The first thing you do is don't go to the hospital. Just call them first and let them know what your symptoms are. They're trying to keep people from congregating in ERs or in doctor's offices. Get their advice before you decide when and where to go. But call them when you start to feel like you're getting symptoms that are bothering you. We can put things on there, the symptoms of this particular virus, so you'll know what they are. And then what are the numbers if you don't have a local physician? Who do you call? There's a student health folks, the clinic here, etc. But we'll post all that later today on our website, okay? So it's there for you. Right now, go to the frequency asked questions on the Texas A&M coronavirus page. And it says, what if I'm sick? And just click on that and it'll give you what you need to know. But we're trying to get as much as we can on our webpage so you don't have to go to a lot of different places. But rules 1, stay home, call your medical care provider. We'll give you a list of numbers if you don't have any, and do what they tell you. Okay, next question. Oh, by the way, on anything related to internships, Holly just sent me a reminder here. Remember Matt Upton, Michael Cochran, Marilyn San Esteban. If you need help, talk to them. Let them get started working with you. Are there any professors in need of RAs this summer? If so, can first years apply to work with them?
I will raise the question Friday. I'm sure that some of them would be interested, and that is something where you can we can interpret that as an internship and use the internship funds that we have available to support student internships towards your support over that period of time. I don't have a lot of faculty members with a lot of grant money that hasn't already been dedicated. So I don't think they can hire you, but they can definitely employ you. So keep it out as a possible internship option if you could serve as a research assistant for a faculty member. If you're interested in that option, let me know. But again, what I'm telling you is we don't have payroll money, but we could, some of our faculty have already indicated that they would be interested in giving you an excellent learning experience that I would consider, even in less disrupted times, as a very viable alternative to an internship if you have an interest in kind of research related career. We have heard from some other organizations on campus. PPRI is interested in student research support, but again, this is something where they don't have the budget to pay you, but you could tap into Bush School support funds. They're limited, but they're there for internships.
Well, the next question was, does Bush School provide us with funding for internships? This was mentioned during orientation week.
Yes, it does. And those funds are still budgeted for and dedicated to internship support for y'all. So talk to Matt Upton and Mike and Marilyn. They will tell you the process. Now, the rules are that in order to have been able to tap into the school internship, you had to have been doing that professional development activities over the course of the fall. So you need to talk to Matt Upton's group about your eligibility for summer internship support. But this is something we've been talking to you since orientation about how to position yourselves to have access to those funds.
You know, one thing, just for your information, one of the things we have going in a capital campaign right now with the Georgia Barbara Bush Foundation is sufficient funding to endow a subsidy for every student for internships or for language immersion, so that we can pay for all of them. We don't have that money yet, but that's our goal. But unfortunately, it'll probably be after you guys are done. I'm sorry about that, but that's what we're working toward. Any change, Lori, or news in regards to GAR positions or GANTs within the Bush School next year?
My understanding is that we have secured funding for GARs for next year. There will be roughly 17 PSAA GARs, and the application process has not changed. And I encourage those of you who are interested in pursuing a GAR to apply. As far as I'm concerned, that protocol and that process is unchanged by the COVID-19 disruptions.
Yeah, the one other comment would be that the university is going through a bunch of changes in how it supports its PhD GARs, master's GARs, et cetera. In the past, we have been given funding to support the tuition component of being a GAR. That funding is at risk going forward from the university. We're figuring out how we can continue to fund it here. That's a year out though. Next year's not affected, it's the year after that. And so we're going through that drill right now and figuring out, can we get money from other sources so we don't have to change that. Our goal eventually is to have the ability to hire more GARs, not less. That's where we want to go, but there's a short-term emphasis on getting all the PhD GARs fully funded, which has been a problem for the university up till now. And we're trying to keep that from affecting our GAR funding. So more to follow on that one over the course of the next year, but that won't affect the next academic year at all.
Yeah, y'all are unaffected. It would only be the students that are coming in for fall that we would need to, it looks like we're going to have to fund them internally. So we've got the funding to have a smaller number of GARs than usual. Fall of 21. Fall of 20, nothing's different.
Yeah, I only mentioned that, Lori, because when the first year starts showing up next year, you're going to hear a buzz about this, but
Right.
It's not you, so don't panic. I've got one, Lori, here. I'm an EMPSA student planning on a June residency week. Any discussion about rescheduling or canceling? And Lori, you go ahead and take the first half. I may have more information than you do on this one.
All righty. There is discussion of rescheduling. There's no discussion of canceling. So we may need to push residency week later in the summer. We may need to make arrangements for that to pick up in the fall, but we're not canceling residency week.
Yeah, like A&M has not canceled anything in residence for June yet. They haven't gone out that far, but the provost has told us be prepared for presenting everything online in the month of June, which for us affects EMPSA, actually residency week, and our nuclear program that we do with the national laboratories. So we're working it. As soon as we get more word on that, we'll keep you posted.
But we think that the residency week experience is an important part of the Executive Masters of Public Service Administration program. And so if we wind up having to push residency week till July, we will figure out a way to do that into the second session summer school rather than the first session summer school. Then that's what we'll do.
Just in case you're not following the chats to everybody, here Stephanie and Kimberly both weighed in. Stephanie's working on the fall textbook list, and Kimberly says she's going to send out an email regarding registration later today to everybody. She also says she misses you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for
And
capstone.
Holly says that we'll be sending out Gantt applications soon.
Okay, great. Thanks, Holly. For capstone, we've been asked to arrange a new style of presentation for our client. What about the Bush School presentation? Will there be a virtual form of presentation for the school, or will this no longer be part of the project?
The current thinking is that the logistics of the capstone conference, we're probably going to cancel that. But if there's a groundswell of support from the students that you'd like to have that experience, we will facilitate making that possible. So talk to your capstone, because we've moved to the capstone conference idea to try to showcase the work of our capstone teams to the community. We could still do this kind of more dispersed. It's kind of hard to do a full day capstone conference online. I'm in fact attending a conference at the moment virtually from my office, and it's good, but it's different. So, I don't know whether if there's an interest on your part, we'll figure out a way to make it happen, because we want this educational experience for the capstones if the capstones want it. And we could have kind of ad hoc scheduled meetings the way we used to do, which was, everybody get together over lunch and listen to capstone presentation A, everybody get together and listen to capstone presentation B. It's kind of what IA currently still does. So that wasn't really conducive to including the community, which is why we went to the capstone conference idea, is to get the more kind of community involvement. But this is a different experience for us. So if your capstone as a group wants to have a capstone presentation to the school, we will make that happen.
Yeah, I think you'd actually find a lot of people from the school, faculty, staff, other students who'd be interested in listening in. And,
yeah, I mean,
I think it'd be a great break from everything else.
Yeah, no. One of the problems we had run into was the logistics of finding a big enough room that wasn't already occupied with something else, so we could do these. That's why we kind of went to the capstone conference idea over in the presidential library. So room constraints are no longer our issue. So we can definitely do that capstone by capstone if that's something you want to do. If that would help make your educational experience better, let's do that.
Okay. Lori, let's say we have a student who has a friend who needed a certain GPA to stay in the school at the end of this semester. If we go to pass-fail, would that mean they didn't meet their requirements and couldn't return in the fall?
No. The decision about how to handle a student who's on academic probation or otherwise has a GPA issue is, there are rules, and then I have the authority to waive those rules. And if we are required to go to pass-fail, I will have a very liberal policy about continuing towards graduation. Now, that will not change the graduation requirement of a 3.0 GPA. And so I get that will impact students. So if you find yourself in that sort of a situation, I need to know about it as soon as possible so I can help you. But we will not prevent anyone from returning in the fall if we go to pass-fail and their GPA is not where it needs to be.
Okay, thank you. Kimberly, I didn't have my chat window open wide enough. You had a comment about pass-fail grades a couple of minutes back. Would you still like to make it?
Yes, if you can hear me okay.
Yep, you're good.
All right. Hello, everyone, and I do miss you guys. I just wanted to add, Dr. Taylor had mentioned that going pass fail may not be able to be done at our departmental or college level. In the catalog, the graduate catalog, and on the degree plan system currently, pass-fail grades are not allowed for credit for graduate students. So if that does happen, it would have to be changed in the registrar and OGAP's degree plan system. And I'm not sure what that would mean regarding how they would facilitate that, but that is something that would definitely be outside of just the departmental or college decision. So that was what I was going to add.
Thanks, Kimberly. Appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, that's the last question I have in the chat room. Anybody got anything else? Oh, good job. Okay, for first year 3+2 students, if undergraduate goes pass fail, would we be doctored into the graduate grading because these are graduate courses? So would that be factored in? I think, Lori. Yeah, I think what you said before still applies.
I think what I said before still applies. Definitely, if the course is counting as graduate credit, then the rules for pass fail on graduate courses would apply. So if the university wants to make this change, the university has some hoops the university has to hop through. And then we will do what it takes to make sure that that minimizes the impact on our students.
Okay. Thanks, Lori. Anything else? And while you're thinking of your final questions, let me ask Kimberly if she has anything else to add.
No, I don't think I do. As I mentioned on chat to everybody, I will be sending out something regarding registration today. Quick reminder to 3+2 students, your classification will be changed at the end of the semester, but when you register in April, since you're still considered a U4, I will have to put the overrides on your account. So I will place a reminder in the email today, but I'm also reminding you now, you'll need to send me the list of courses that you want to take so I can add the overrides to your account. Also, when I send out the email today, I will attach a copy of the in-house fall 2020 schedule and a copy of the courses that we plan to offer in spring of 21 so that you can go ahead and plan accordingly. Also, you guys take me up on my offer. If you want a Zoom appointment, I am certainly glad to set up a time to meet with you via Zoom. So anyway, that's it. And I'm here to answer any other questions if you have them. Oh, and also first years, don't forget our capstone session on Monday. We are really looking forward to contacting you that way as a group and sharing the capstone projects for next year. So I think that's it, Dean Welsh. Thank you for letting me comment.
Thanks for joining, Kimberly. Stephanie, do you have anything? Might have lost Stephanie. How about you, Holly?
I would just say, make sure you guys are reaching out to us if you need anything. Even if it's just you need to see a friendly face, if you need virtual candy session like you would typically come into my office for, we're all in this together, and I think we're all here to help any way that we can. So don't hesitate to let us know what you need.
I had not heard about the concept of virtual candy, but it sounds lovely.
I know, right? I'll bring my candy bucket, they'll bring their own candy bucket, and we'll sit and eat candy together.
Wait, cool. I'll be there at 3.
That sounded like Marilyn. Marilyn, do you have anything to add?
No, that was Lori.
Oh, that was Lori. I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at your picture, Lori. You sounded like Marilyn on there. That's pretty impressive. This is like The Voice.
Yeah, totally.
Hey,
No
Lori,
one wants
closing
me to-
thoughts. And then I'll add a couple of admin things, but anything you'd like to leave everybody with?
No, just we will get through this. We'll get through this together. We know that something's going to go wonky on or sideways on Monday. And please allow your patience. We're taking this whole system on a shakedown cruise, and so Monday and Tuesday are gonna be something to write about in your diary and in the tell-all book you're planning for when you're 35. So keep good records.
Thanks, Lori. Just so you know, or you can tell any of your colleagues who didn't make this, this is being recorded. It'll be posted on the COVID-19 page on the webpage as well, in case anybody wants to go back and check something. A question for you, and I'm just going to go visually off of how many head nods or thumbs ups I get. Would it be worthwhile to you maybe in 2 weeks or so to do this again? That'll be 2 weeks into classes. You should have kind of gotten a feel for everything and how it's going. And maybe another opportunity to sit with Lori and I and say, okay, this is now a concern or a question. Lori, that sound fair to you?
Sounds totally fair. We had something scheduled for next week. We're going to do the breakfast thing. So I think what we're going to do is propose that we postpone that, and week after, the dean and I will be here to get grilled again.
Okay, we'll send out a note. We'll set a time and it looks like best for everybody and as many people as possible, and let you know when that's going to be. That I'm getting enough head nods that we'll go ahead and set that up. And the last thing I would ask you to do is just remember, some of you are pretty comfortable with all this and some of you are really not. And some of you have stressors on you now that you didn't have before, even a couple of weeks ago. It may be kids at home who were in school, or it may be childcare providers that are now not providing because they're having to take care of their own kids who are no longer in school. It could be a spouse at home who's now working from home on the same computer you're trying to work from home on. There are any number of things now that have been added to your stress level in life that were not a problem 2 weeks ago. Not to mention all the stuff in the community around you and the worry about the virus, etc. Some of you have aging parents and family members you're concerned about. So take care of each other, okay? Stay in touch, stay in communication. Use some of this technology that we have to just keep connected to groups, gather collaboratively, talk about what's going on. And please let us know if there's an issue. If you're worried about something, if something happens that's got you concerned, call us. Just let us know so we can figure out how we can help. There are a lot of resources at this university, and there are a ton of people at this college who want to make sure we're taking care of you. So whether it's an educational issue, it's a personal issue, it's a family issue, anything you are comfortable asking for help with, we're here to help you. But please don't isolate yourself to the point of worrying in a small room by yourself while your world implodes. Don't let that happen to you. That's not what should be happening right now for any of us, okay? Right. Everybody's dealing with it, but everybody wants to help you deal with it. So calling and asking for a conversation or a little bit of help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of maturity. We all need to do it occasionally. So let us know, okay? We miss you. I hope we get to see you sometime other than on the, this Hollywood Squares thing. Most of you don't even know what that is. It's sad. Here's one for you to think about. I used a phrase on an online presentation I gave day before yesterday to a military audience, and I used the term "fold a gap," which was something that in my generation, everybody in America knew what it was. And I don't think two people in the audience knew what it was. And it was clear instantly from the faces on the Zoom screen that they didn't. So Google that someday and figure out why it's important. It'll make me feel better. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You guys have a great day. See ya.